Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, and this is episode 2 in the getting up and running the old Myford ML7 lathe. Now, this particular lathe was made back in 1954/1955. Myford's not entirely sure the day it came out of the factory. In the last video, we had a major problem. And that problem being, we weren't able to remove this end gear from the spindle. That's what Myford call this. This is the spindle from the headstock. And if you look very, very closely, the two holes, or half holes, semicircular holes, these should be officially aligned and a grub screw in there to retain this gear on the shaft. I'm very confident that grub screw has fallen out at some point, and the gear has now spun on the shaft and then heated up and welded itself to the shaft. But there's more to it than that. There's another reason why what I was doing in the last video was completely futile when trying to remove this gear in the way that I did it. Let's take a quick look at the parts diagram and I'll try and highlight what the problem was. The oversight on my part. Here we go. Used.
You don't paint something without warning.
Honestly. So, as per the Myford manual, the service manual for this particular lathe, the ML7 lathe, this is the headstock assembly, and all the parts are numbered for reference, so you can get the part numbers from the next page. And the gear in question that we can't remove is this one here, and that is the grub screw. That little black dot, number 6, is the grub screw that's supposed to retain that on the shaft. And if we follow that across on the exploded diagram, we can now see the spindle itself. And if you look very closely, just there, I now know that to be a thread. Very hard to tell from this diagram, but it is threaded. If you look at the other end of the shaft where the chuck goes on, it sort of looks similar the way it's greyed. It's very poor resolution image. I'm sure the actual printed manual, it'll be a little bit clearer. That thread is for this collar. Number 8 is threaded onto the shaft, and it has its own little grub screw to hold it on. I was unaware that that thread existed and had the puller on the back of washer 11 and tried to pull all 3 components off at once. The reason why I did that, it was a lot easier to get onto that collar there, look, big washer with the puller, or even in the press, than it was to try and squeeze some kind of puller arms onto the back of the actual gear itself, which just, there was no space, and you'll see that a bit later on. So we still have a problem. So what are we going to do? How are we going to get that gear off? This collar here, it does rotate slightly. Obviously it's free and it's now turning on the threads. If you look very, very carefully, you might be able to see the gap between this collar and the washer underneath increase and decrease as I rotate that. It's very hard to see. There is only a tiny gap between the collar itself and this gear. So we might be able to get in there with some big screwdrivers and give it a bit of a yuck and see if that's going to cause this gear to come off. The reason why the press in the previous video and the puller was completely futile, it was pointless doing it, is because I was trying to pull up on this, and of course the collar above it is threaded, so it was pulling against the threads basically, and if I continued it could have actually let go and the whole lot gone flying around the workshop. Could have caused injury. So it just goes to show you need to do some research before you pull these things apart, and I made a mistake. Hand up, Andy Mechanic did. Another mistake, unfortunately. So we'll get this mounted in the vise and we'll see if we can prise that gear off. We might even be able to use a little bit of heat. Oakley dokley. So like I said before, I was trying to lift it from, or pull it off from under here. We now know that that was never ever going to work. Now you shouldn't use screwdrivers in this way, but the gap is so small, it's only really a screwdriver blade that I can get in there. So by using two opposite, I can sort of lever against this collar underneath, the threaded collar. I don't know if it's going to move or not, but we'll give it a go. Look at that. It is coming off. Holy moly. Right, so I can probably get a puller underneath there now, because I'm sort of running out of room with the screwdrivers. My leverage is disappearing. Oh, there we go. Look. Whee! It's off. That actually wasn't too bad. Excellent. See, with a little knowledge, things can be a lot easier, can't they? Right, so we'll get that out of the way. And now we should be able to take this off. I'll get some, yeah, let's get some pliers and get some big vice grips on there or something. Right, poly grips to the rescue. It is a little bit stiff on the threads. Not surprising given what the abuse I was giving it before. There we go, look. Wow. And the gear itself, so again, you know, from the readings that I've done, this actually is a press fit gear onto the shaft. It's not, it doesn't just spin freely and held on just by that lonely grub screw. Well, that's fantastic. Very happy that that's off now. You can see the threads that hold that collar on in place. Right, just lining everything up on the bench. Now we should be able to get that washer off. All goes to plan. There we go. And there's a little tiny pin. I'll just rotate it in the vise for you. Jeez! There's a little tiny pin that also locates that washer into place. And that's just there, look. So we'll see if we can try and get that out next. It might be harder than we think. We'll see. We've got some movement. I think it's coming. Yes, definitely coming out. Oh, there we go. Right. Andy, don't lose that. So now we should be able to remove this thrust bearing. So we can get that bit off. And that's the one of the outer races and the bearing itself. Pop that down on the bench. And we've still got this inner race to do. Hang on, we're getting covered in grease here. See if we can just prise that one off. Oh, there we go, look. Excellent. Right, so that's the entire thrust bearing assembly out of the way now. We'll stick those together. Obviously, this will get a thorough clean and we'll be testing that bearing later on when we come to reassemble. I need a rag. Where's my rag? There, that'll do. Excellent. Hey, we're definitely cooking on gas now. It's amazing how one little thing can just put the whole project on hold for a while, but sometimes it's well worth, you know, just stopping for a while, having a little think. There we go, grease free. Right, what's next? Okay, looking in the parts diagram, it appears that we've got obviously the aluminium pulley set, and we've got what looks like a steel collar, another one. But this time there appears to be no grub screw, so all I can assume is that's a press fit onto the shaft. And yes, this is all part of the pulley by the looks of it. And that is the steel collar. Now, I'm pretty reluctant to put a puller under here, but I can't see any other way of getting this collar off. So we're going to have to pull the pulleys with a puller off the spindle, and hopefully it'll bring that with it. Let's make sure we get right under there, aren't we? Otherwise this aluminium could break off and then we've destroyed the pulleys. And they don't look to be in too bad a condition at the moment, although I've not done a full inspection yet. Jeez. Now, the pulleys themselves also have a couple of grub screws in them. So I need to remove those first. You can see down there, look, one's already missing and there's one in there. So we'll get that one pulled out. Like I said before, one of the grub screws is already missing from this pulley set, but we can get this one taken out now. Right, where's my little pliers? There we go. Right, let's not lose that. Now, I've been able to think about how to do this. I'm really reluctant to put a puller on the back of here to get this collar off. I'd rather, much rather, try and get something on this shoulder here and push the whole lot off in one go. I think we've got far more chance of not breaking something by doing that. If I distort this piece, we've got a serious problem. And don't forget as well, it appears that there's a belt. This is actually a pulley itself here, and this, where's my screwdriver? This surface here is a belt driving surface. So if we cause any harm to that and put marks in it, it's going to obviously start to eat belts. So I think it's a complete no-no to put a puller on there. We only have one option. Now, to do that, we need to make sure there's no more grub screws on any of these components. And by the looks of it, there's one more here, so we'll pop that out if we can. So far, they've all been pretty loose. Now, these are Imperial. Oh, there we go, look, that was easy enough. This gear is the reason why we're stripping this whole thing down, mainly because it's got some missing teeth. Right, where's my pliers? There we go. I think they call this the bull gear, from memory. Okay, so that's out. That gear's still tight on the shaft. Are there any more? Let's have a quick spin round. Jeez. Okay, I'm going to undo that because there's a little locking piece at the back. And again, I don't want to put any stress on that while I'm pressing the whole thing off. So, is that the same size? It's not. It's the next size up, which is 5/32. Sorry, I'm a metric kind of a guy. There we go, look. Make sure you're all the way in. Here we are. Excellent. Right. So now, the little piece at the back should come out. It's like a little locking piece. There we go. Hey, come back. Excellent. Right, that is now out. And we can remove that. So we'll just screw that back in there so we know that that's where it comes from. Cool it up. Stick that on the rag. Okay, so by the looks of it, all of this now is free on the shaft. We've got the pulleys are spinning freely, and that inner gear down there, look, appears to go with the pulleys for now. So we'll get it back in the press, and we'll go against this shoulder here and see if we can get the whole lot pressed off in one go. Fingers crossed. Jeez, is it going to work? I don't know. Should do. I can't see any reason why not. There we go. Here we go. There's some damage on those threads. Jeez. Oh, look at that. Right. We've got instant movement. It's not too bad. Everything seems to be moving really well. Just going to ease that through and catch the spindle as it ejects out the bottom of the press. That actually was remarkably easy. I was expecting a bit more of a fight, to be honest. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Super job. Right, back to the bench. Right, actually with a little bit of research, we're able to get that spindle stripped down really easily. It could have all gone really badly wrong if I'd just tried to continue the way that I was in the first episode. However, the spindle itself needs to be replaced. It's got quite bad scoring where the two bearings run. That's this area here, just behind the chuck. And of course, this area here. If you run your thumbnail across there, you can feel ridges in the shaft on both sections. So just replacing the bearings themselves, they wouldn't last very long. They'd soon start to score up. So we had to order a new spindle. Now, I went onto the Myford UK website earlier in the week, and there was no spindle listed, nor were the bearings as well. You couldn't get them, they just weren't available at the time. So I emailed Myford and said, hey, I need a new spindle. Can you help out? And I explained to them about the project that we're doing on the channel, getting this lathe back up and running again. And I spoke to a lad called James. I don't know his age, but extremely helpful chap. And he told me all the parts that they did actually have in stock. They didn't have everything, but he did manage to find me, even though it wasn't showing on the website, he did manage to find me a brand new spindle and a bearing set, together with a few other bits and pieces that I've ordered as well that I know I need to replace, including the bull gear. That's what I'm calling it anyway. And I'm pleased to say that all those parts are now winging their way from the UK to sunny New Zealand, and they'll be here in a few weeks, so we'll be able to continue the momentum on this project, and they should be arriving about the right time when I've got everything else cleaned up, ready for the reassembly. So, new shaft is coming. As regards the gear set, the bull gear, as I'm calling it, has two missing teeth just there. Look, that was the main reason why I stripped this shaft to start off with, although I'm pleased I have, because there's a few other bits and pieces that should be replaced. This bull gear is scrap, it needs a new one, and that damage, so I'm told, normally results in people locking the gears, basically a mechanical lock, by selecting two ratios at once, to remove the chuck. It's not the way you're supposed to do it, and the gears just aren't up to it. So if you've got a Myford lathe, try and refrain from doing that. Otherwise you'll be doing the same job as I am and replacing this gear. Because otherwise, I mean, it's not normally in use as this gear, I'm told. So it shouldn't really wear out or break. It's only through abuse it seems to happen. So we've got here the pulley set and that collar that sits in the end. Doesn't seem to be handed. Looks like it can go on either way. And this gear set, so the pulley set, has what looks like a bronze type gear in there, or a brass gear, pressed into it. You can see down there, look, it sits all down the inside. So that acts as a bush as well. Interesting stuff. Are the pulleys in good condition? I don't think I've been able to order any new pulleys. I think I wanted to order new pulleys, but I don't think they were included in the order. So we're going to have to reuse these and just make sure we fit the two grub screws that should be in there, not just the one. And of course, lube it up. Now also, there's a lot, just that's a good point actually, there's a lot of grease nipples around these Myford lathes. They're actually not for grease, they're for machine oil. So again, if you're using grease on your Myford lathe, chances are you're using the wrong stuff. It needs to be sort of proper machinery oil. Grease is just too thick and gloopy, and it doesn't get to all the places that need lubrication, whereas the machine oil works its way around really well. Now, whilst we've got the whole spindle disassembled, one thing we need to inspect is the condition of the bush inside that what looks like a brass gear. And that brass gear is pressed into the pulley set, and it's not available separately. You've got to buy the whole thing as one lump. So obviously it's a factory fit thing. Now inside it's acting as a bush on the shaft, on the spindle as they call it at Myford. So what we'll do is we'll stick the spindle back in the vise, we'll pop this on, and we'll try and feel any kind of movement or play which will indicate wear on that bush. If it's good, then obviously it'll still be good, if not better, on the new shaft when it arrives. Now, I know this shaft essentially is scrap, but I don't want to damage it deliberately. Who knows, the one that's been shipped from the UK might get lost in the post. So, how are we going to do this? We'll pop that in the vise like from that end, using a rag. Again, they are aluminium jaws in this vise, so it's just an extra precaution. In fact, it's going to have to go upwards, isn't it? It is. So we'll stick that down there like that. Right, if we get the pulley set, and it runs in this area here on the shaft, just behind where that woodruff key is. Drop it down there, onto the shaft. And I'm just going to hold it in about the right position and just feel for any kind of... I'm trying to rock the pulley side to side to feel any kind of play on that bush. And there is the smallest amount, a tiny amount, really just enough for oil clearance, really. So I think that's in pretty good nick. And the bush itself does not look badly scored. It looks pretty smooth on the inside. So I think we've dodged a bullet with that. and we're all good. We can reuse these. So with the spindle now fully stripped and all the parts sort of inspected, the bits that I needed to inspect at least, the other bits are going to get replaced anyway. What's next? Well, we should really strip down the gear train that sits at the back of the lathe, at the end of the lathe, behind the headstock. It's filthy. The lathe has been sat exposed in the workshop for a fair few months, and there's lots of grinding dust and dirt and all sorts that's got into those gears, and they all need removing, cleaning, and then inspecting. So you can join me and we'll get them all taken off, hopefully. It sounds like we've got our wannabe lumberjack running his chainsaw again. Excellent. Okay, so this is the bed, lead screw and gear drivetrain assembly parts diagram. How was that for a mouthful? So just looking for a few clues before we start to delve onto the lathe itself. Doesn't look too difficult a job. We've got some end screws here with washers basically holding each of the gears onto their respective shafts. And the idea is, oh, go away. The idea is to get all of this removed together with the bracket that sits at the back. Yeah, shouldn't be too hard, should it? We've got all the various part numbers, just for your reference, all the part numbers relating to the numbers on the diagram, just there, look. So we go back to the full diagram, you can see everything there. Right, to the lathe. As you can see, it's very, very dirty. There's swarf and bits of wire brush and all sorts embedded in this. Now, I reckon this one first, don't you? Let's give that a go. See, I wonder how tight it is. Oh, there we go. Not bad. Not bad at all. And I've got a good parts bin ready to accept everything that comes off. So we've got a screw and washer, and then we should be able to get that gear off there, look. There we go. Any teeth missing? Oh, it looks okay for now. I'm hoping I don't find any more damaged parts, because that would mean more delays in getting the bits from the UK. That looks okay on initial inspection. So I'll pop it over there with all the grease. Now we can do this one now. Let's get this one undone. Jeez, he's cutting some logs today. Right, there we go. And these are not over tight, to be fair. And by the looks of it, there's no thread lock on them. It's just oil or grease on the threads. That's something else to note during the assembly. Both of those two screws look to be the same, but the parts diagram will confirm that for us. Right, so now we can get that one off. And again, any missing teeth. This is the critical thing. If we've got broken teeth, we have a major problem. Nope, that all looks okay. Look at the dirt on there. It's horrendous, isn't it? Right, we'll stick that over there. Now we've got this one to get off, and this appears to be held on slightly differently. I wonder if there's a little grub screw hiding under there. Time for a wire brush. Bit of a clean. Right, let's just get the thick off first, and then we'll give it a bit of a spray with some brake cleaner. Yes, there's a collar, by the looks of it, with a grub screw in it. There we go. Jeez, don't get on the lens, Andy, like last time. God, that would be terrible. In fact, it was carburetor cleaner last time, and I really thought I was going to destroy the lens on the camera. Or at least the surface of the lens, anyway. Okay. Right, here goes. Looks a little bit chewed up. Fingers crossed. Oh, yes, look at that. Bloody good. Right. I'm not going to take the grub screw all the way. Am I? Yes, I will. I'll put it back in again a bit later on, just so we don't lose it. There's a lot of grub screws on this lathe. So, how are we going to get that off? Is it loose? It's not loose. Maybe a little, I don't know, little tap. Is that one piece, or is that a spacer behind it? I don't know. I wonder if I can wiggle it off with a flat screwdriver. Oh, look at that. That was lucky. Go on, mate, you can chop that log. Is that one going to move? Yes. Okay, can we leave them both off the gear? Almost. 2 screwdrivers required. Bear with me. It doesn't really warrant getting a puller out, to be honest. It's only just beyond being able to pull off with your fingers, so maybe we can just do that. Oh, there we go, look. It really isn't putting a lot of force on the gear itself. Right. That is the collar with said grub screw. Let's just pop him back in there so we don't mix things up. There we go. Right. In the parts bin. That's that one. Right. Can we get this bit off? The spacer. There we go. 1 spacer. Cool. And, little hint, there's going to be a woodruff key in there as well, look. So pop that in there. Twizzle that round, and hey presto, there's the woodruff key. So let's get the gear off first, if we can. He says complete. Oh, there we are. It's just a good fit. It's going slowly. There we go. Right. And of course, it's in a filthy condition with the rest of it. But any missing teeth? Doesn't look like it, does it? I think we're going to be okay with that one. Yep, that looks all right to me. Now, Mr. Woodruff key, is he going to pop out? Or is he not going to pop out? Sometimes they're a bit loose, sometimes they're really tight. This one looks a bit more tight. Maybe we can just ease him off there, look. Oh, there is movement. No, my word, that bearing's a bit shot, look. Look at that. Oh no. There he is. Right, woodruff key is out. Excellent. We'll stick that in the middle of the gear. Right, our next job is to get this carrier taken off. And we've got, by the looks of it, 2 bolts hiding underneath a load more grime. There's one. Obviously all these parts are going to get a thorough clean in the degreasing tub, which will make putting it all back together a lot easier, won't it? What do you reckon? I've only got metric spanners, so maybe a 13. Let's try that. God, he really is going for gold with that chainsaw. Nope, 13's way too big. Luckily I brought a 12 as well. Is that going to work? How tight are they going to be? Not even a 12. I wonder if 11 will fit that. It looks bigger than 11 though. I don't know. Is it going to fit? No, it's not. Bugger. I'm going to look at my old toolbox. See what I've got. I've got a choice. I could use a single hex socket, but you won't be able to see a lot of what's going on. Or I can use my Imperial monkey wrench. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but anyway. I do have some Imperial spanners, but they're in an old ammo box that came from England, which is buried in the other shed at the moment. So, I can't get it out. Let's give it a go. Oh, it was pretty loose actually. That was lucky. I'll have to get a set of spanners when I come to put this thing back together actually. Right, can we get that one off? Yes. Actually, quite loose in fact. There we go. That was fortunate. And it seems that a lot of stuff on this lathe is actually quite loose. Right. Come on, Mr. Washer. There we go, that's one. Put him over by the parts tray. Oh, that's a bit tight on the threads. Jeez, can we get in there? There we go. And the washer. I should have worn gloves. I know I should have worn gloves, but I'm trying to save my gloves because there's not many in the world at the moment. Right, that is now undone, and I think that should now come off there with a bit of persuasion. He says, where's my big screwdriver? Everything's a screwdriver, isn't it, on these things? Oh, we're getting some movement. There we go. Super job. Look at the state of that. That is a bloody good clean, doesn't it? Well, whilst we're on with it, next job, this backing plate. And I've got a 12mm single hex socket on here. So, oh God, it's loose. Oh no. Right, that's one. I didn't want to use an impact wrench because there is some movement between the socket and the bolts. I can just ease them off with this rather than destroy the bolt head. I'm trying to keep everything as original as possible. Surprising how loose everything is there. There we go. Right. Oh my God, look at the state of that. You could measure that in inches, the amount of grime on there. Next job is these sort of intermediate gears, and this I believe is for forward and reverse. I'm not too sure. I've never used one of these little Myford lathes. I think when you move this down, then there we go. Look, it then I don't know, potentially puts another gear into mesh or something. I think from memory, from what I've read. We'll soon find out when we get this thing fired up though, won't we? Right, another screw. Another loose screw. There we go. Okay, now, will that all come off there? I think it might if you pull that plunger out. It's going to need some persuasion. Where's my big screwdriver? Is that going to help? I don't know. There might be a grub screw in there. Let's go and check the parts diagram. Right, let's have another look. Ah, it's not on this diagram, so we're going to need to download a different one from the Myford website. So let's go on to there. I've already got it up on Googly. There we go. So if we go back one, here. So where will that be? We've done headstock assembly. We've done bed, lead screw and gear train assembly. What section will those gears be in, do you think? Quick change gearbox, we haven't got one of those. Motorizing assembly, maybe in there, I'll have a look. Right, view parts diagram, a view diagram. Let's see if it's in that. Hang on, it's going to require more fingers because I've not downloaded it yet. Is it in there? It's not. That's just the motor itself by the looks of it, I think. Oh, there's some more at the bottom. That's just the parts list. So no, it's not in that one. So we'll close that. We'll go back. What could it be in? History of the ML7. Interesting. We should do that one day. Carriage. No. Headstock. Maybe it's back in the headstock again. Let's have a look. I don't think it is, but we'll have a look. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. I'm pretty sure this was only... Oh no, there it is, look. Okay. Right, so zooming in. It's a pretty pants picture, isn't it? We've taken the screw out. And is there a grub screw on there? There isn't. Let's take a closer look on the actual lathe itself. So we'll just chuck a bit of brake cleaner on there. Just a little bit. Where's my wire brush? Is there anything down that hole? Doesn't feel like there's any threads. Seems pretty empty. Maybe it'll just come off. Ah, right. Okay, that was easy. Pop that in the parts bin with his little screw. So why is this not coming off the lathe? Well, maybe it needs some persuasion, I think. Let's just get a screwdriver behind there and see if that's going to help to ease it off. It feels pretty solid. Doesn't want to budge at all. It does pivot quite easily. Maybe we can just wiggle it off, I don't know. The whole lathe is moving. How is that held on? Bugger. Right, let's put this all the way down so that the notch pin, the spring-loaded notch pin device, the detent locator, is on the casting and not in one of the holes. And then let's try our 2 screwdriver technique again. I'm not overconfident with this, to be honest. But it should just come off. Don't want to break it, Andy. You don't want to break it. Man, that's as solid can be. It just does not want to move. Looks like to me like we could have stumbled across our second problem in stripping this lathe down. It just does not want to come off at all. It's very strange. There's just no movement. You'd think it would whittle off after a while, wouldn't you? I'm going to have a think. And a coffee. And a cigarette. Well, I've been battling away for a while and I can't get it to budge under normal manual leverage using screwdrivers and bits and pieces. So I'm just going to try a little tiny puller to see if I can just start to get it to move. And I've checked that the taper on here isn't going to cause any harm to the threads in the shaft. So wish me luck. A bit fiddly. Could do with a tool girl here to give me a hand, to be honest, but I reckon we should be able to get that behind there somehow. Okay, that's 2, 3. Okay, holding it all together. Oh, there you go, look. That was ridiculously easy. I feel quite embarrassed now that I couldn't get it to move by hand. Okay, is it going to wiggle off now? So close. There we go. Excellent. Right, that's now off and ready for cleanup and disassembly and re-oiling. Lovely. And all the teeth look to be intact. There doesn't seem to be too much play on the bushes either. Or bearings, whatever they are in there. Probably bushes. Cool. Now, there's still a gear hiding in there. That needs to come off. God, it looks a mess in there. Just look at the state of that. It's in a terrible condition. It's actually rubbing against something as well, actually. Oh no, a broken tooth. Oh, I hadn't spotted that. I'm going to have to order some more parts. Oh, bugger. Why is it catching though? That's not right, surely. Okay. I think it's time for some more spray. It's horrific. How the hell's that held on? Is it a circlip? Have they actually used a circlip on this lathe? Jeez, sorry camera. Oh no, I can't believe I need another gear. This lathe just keeps on giving. Oh, man. Blueness! Blue and grey colour. Ah, right. Is it a tiny little Allen key? I think it is. Where's my Allen keys gone? Looks like a tiny one. So we'll get the little scraper in there We'll just clean out all the crud. I think it's an Allen key anyway. Yes, it is, definitely. Definitely an Allen key. Is it this size? It definitely is. Ah, okay, so it was obviously gone too far and it was rubbing against the casing. So, if we just pop the odd screwdriver down there and fill in the gap, maybe, oh, there we go, look. Perfect. Now I've got to try and get it all the way out. I definitely don't have a socket the right size. It's got a ball on the end, it has. Right, so let's give that a go then, see if we can ball it out. Yes. Excellent. Good little Allen key. Well done. Now, let's try not to drop the screw. Is this magnetised? No, it's not. Is that one magnetised? Yes. Right, so we'll use that one then to catch it. Hopefully. God, it's like brain surgery, is this? Alright, she's coming. The washer's loose. Well done if you're still watching. Oh, it might be too heavy for it actually. I don't know. Maybe Mr. Pliers can get in there. Where's my pliers gone? Okay, we're going in. Extraction team. Yes. That's a win. Okay, let's just get rid of our screwdriver that we used as a lock. And now that should, yes, that'll twizzle off the end. Brilliant. So there you go. That is the broken gear. I'm trying to get it to focus for you. There we go, look. So that must have got broken, I think, at the same time or as a result of mechanically locking the drivetrain to remove the chuck. Bad idea, people. You shouldn't do it. There are other ways. So it looks like it's all one piece. 2 gears machined or cast from one piece. So I'm going to have to order another one of these. James, Myford, I need another gear. Bugger. There's still another bit to remove, and Myford call it a back gear eccentric assembly. I'm not sure. Oh, yep, there we go. Look, it just pushes straight out. It must just. Well, what the hell holds that in? Seriously, it just floats around? Okay, well, we'll pull that out and see if there's any markings on it. Oh, it's got a good oil supply. There we go, look. It's out. Looks like a lubrication hole. So you put the oil in there and it comes out there and there. Geez, that's full of crap. Oh no, look at that. That's terrible. There's dirt in the oil ways, so I'm going to have to make sure I clean all these out really well. Damn. Okay. In the box. Holy moly, look at the state of this. It's just horrendous. Just built up grime over the years. Mind you, saying that, I bet my boxer's not far off as bad as this in certain places. Lots and lots of cleaning up to do. Jeez. Things are really coming apart with this Myford lathe now. Next step, I think we should disassemble the carrier for the motor assembly. Oh, another message. And that sort of top shaft. I'm not too concerned about taking the shaft out at the moment. I just want to take that whole lump off the actual main lathe bed. And I think I've already removed the motor mount from the bottom. That's already over there. It was done ages ago because I couldn't lift it with the motor in place. But we've got that top pulley and like an idler shaft up at the top. Let's see if we can get some of that taken away because it all needs to be cleaned and I need to make the lathe sort of manhandleable. Right, here we go. Now, one thing I'd like to get out of the way really early on is this top cover that covers the small belt, the drive belt. And by the looks of it, it's got these little sections that you can remove and then we can unhook it or get it off the actual spindle because at the moment you can't. So Let's get in there. I don't know how tight it... Oh, God. Tight is not the word. Okay, that's one. I have to go around this side, I think. That's ridiculous. That was about to fall off, Dave. Dave's the previous owner of the lathe, by the way. Great chap. A lot of respect for Dave. He's a proper engineer, is Dave. Maybe not so good at maintaining stuff, but he's a proper engineer. He makes a lot of stuff. He's very clever. Right, that's one off with said screws. Oh, man. I'll just clean my hands as well. Okay, let's see if we get the last one off. That's one screw. Right, last one. There we go. Pulley out. Right, so pop those in the parts box. If all goes to plan, we should be able to remove this now. Oh, look at that. Awesome design. Good job, Myford. Okay, so what's next? Well, there is this shaft. It's all looking pretty manky in there. Oh no, the pulleys are loose on the shaft as well. What's going on there? Now, I did watch a chap on YouTube who try and remove, or actually remove, this top pulley from the shaft. And unfortunately, it was on so tight it got damaged. So I'm very, very worried about causing problems and damaging this one. But I'm probably going to have to give it a go. Unless I can withdraw the shaft that way and leave this large pulley on the shaft. That would be ideal. So we've got two more grub screws hiding in that smallest aluminium pulley. Need to undo those. Working around the tripod now. Right, let's see if we can get these two grub screws cracked off. Jeez. Wow, that's pretty damn tight, to be honest. Sorry, tripod. It is coming out there, slowly. Wow. Okay, talk amongst yourselves for a second. I do like these old lathes though, they're very cool. I was brought up with the old Boxford at school. That's what I learnt on, pretty much. So, right, that's one grub screw out. Let's not lose that one. Is this one going to play ball? It is. Oh, sorry, tripod. Equally as tight. I think somebody must have used thread lock on these, which is probably not a bad idea. Wow. That's taking my thumb pressure to an absolute limit there. Not much leverage. Okay. Second grub screw is out, which means that pulley now is relatively free on the shaft. There must be a woodruff key or something in there as well. Now, there is, I noticed, a collar at the end here. And again, that collar has got a grub screw. I've not actually looked at the parts diagram. It doesn't look overcomplicated as this bit, so we're going to try and wing it. Oh, there we go. Look, that's not too bad. Right. That's that one out. Looks identical to the ones in the pulleys, but slightly shorter. Okay, is that going to come off? No, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. Is it threaded? Or is it just twizzling? There we go. Excellent. Look at that. It's off. Right, so will that allow the whole shaft to be withdrawn? I don't know. Maybe it needs a tappy tap. Well, I've had a little look round and I can't see any more grub screws. So I'm hoping the shaft will go out that way and we can leave this large pulley on the shaft, knowing the problems that other people have had with these. Oh, there's movement. slowly but surely, it needs tappy taps. Look at the state of my hammer now, honestly. It is coming. That pulley, however, is real tight on the shaft again now. Now there's no, oh, look at the crap coming out of it. It's unbelievable. All right, we'll keep going. Maybe this might be a better job to do in the vise, actually, because it's putting quite a lot of stress on everything. So I wonder if we can get this pivot pin taken out, and then we can just remove this as one lump and work on it a bit easier, a bit more professionally in the vise. I don't want to cause any damage. Damage is bad. Damage is really bad. Right, more grub screws. Jeez. Honestly, Myford must have a shares in grub screw making factories, because oh, it's loose. Because there are so many grub screws on this machine, it's unreal. Right, let's take that one out. There we go. Don't lose it, Andy. Looks like another one of the same kind of grub screw. Now, that does appear to be the only one. So the question is, can we now tap this shaft out without causing any damage? I think we can. Now I'm assuming it goes that way. I can't see any change in diameter, so maybe. You guys are getting the shakes, aren't you? Apologies. I can fix that. Bear with me. You're now mounted from the light. How cool is that? Right, you shouldn't have any kind of vibrations now going on. Just chuck a bit of cleaner on there. Might help a little bit. About as far as I can get with that punch. Oh, what else have we got? It's not long enough. Total tang, hang on. You can save one end of it. Excellent. Right. It's off! Bloody good. I can really feel the end is almost in sight. Just that large bracket that bolts the back of the main lathe bed to remove. And then a few more checks. I think we're done. Because there's going to be a separate video stripping down the carrier and maybe taking a look at the end stock as well. Right, back to the grime. Look at the state of my hands, and I've washed them 3 times already. While it's still in place, let's get this adjuster rod thing out of the way. And that's for the belt tension from memory. Right. Yet again, another grub screw and another collar. Not sure what this bit's for though. Right. Grub screw is out. Don't lose that, Andy. Maybe we should unscrew that. Where's the screwdriver gone? There we go. Let's try that one. Oh yeah. Huh. Another grub screw kind of thing? No idea. Right, is that now going to come off there, or is it going to require a tap? Probably a tap. Seems we've got tappy stuff available. Let's use tappy stuff. Okay, let's keep going. I think we need to give it a bit of a clean first, don't you? Where's that wire brush gone? Yay! It's out. Something else to clean. Right, let's just pop that grub screw back in there, because there's so many grub screws on this machine. I don't want to mix them all up, and I'm not entirely sure if they're all the same. I know that one isn't. I've never seen a grub screw like that before. Right, in the box. Okay, we've got a little bracket on the side to take off next. This should be an easy one. Oh yes, it's loose. Excellent. There we go, we'll stick him in the box as he is. Right, now for the main bolts. Can you see any bolts? I can just see some under here, look. Holy moly. 1, 2, 3. Wow, that's a lot of grime, isn't it? Oh, God. I don't think Dave ever cleaned this lathe. One thing I was taught at school, when you finish using the lathe, give it a clean. This is years and years of grime. Okay, that was loose. That was loose. It's amazing this thing even held together. Everything was finger tight. What the hell's going on? 1, 2. 3. Wow! Look at that! Nearly done, we're so close. I want to take this piece off, basically the headstock assembly, just for cleaning, so I can inspect it a bit better and basically work out if there's anything at all that needs to be fixed or replaced. There's not really much left, it's just a casting, but you know, who knows, I might spot something. So we've got 4 cap heads that hold it in place by the looks of it. So I need to dig down to those and get them cracked off. You got a much better view from the other side, to be fair, so we'll just dig in there. Look at this. Dave! It's alright, if I complain, he'll say, well, just come down and clean my other lathe for me, Andy. It's like, I haven't got time to clean your lathe, Dave. You should be cleaning it. Right, need an Allen key. Hopefully they won't be too tight. If the rest of the lathes to go by, they'll be finger tight. But no, my luck, they'll be as tight can be. Nope, too small. Must be this one then. What's this? 1/4 inch. Is it a quarter? Hey, it's not. It's not a quarter. What the hell's going on? And it's not that. So it's not a 3/16 and it's not a quarter. What the hell? We're running out of sizes. Maybe they've been replaced. We're going to find a 5mm. Maybe that'll fit. Nope, it's not a 5mm. Is it a 6? Looks too small to be a 6. Nope, it's not a 6. What the hell size is it? I'm back. After much digging around, I have found something that fits. Turns out to be 5.45 millimeters. So maybe it's a 5.5, I don't know. Right, wish me luck. Don't round off, don't round off, don't round off. Oh, look at that. That's that one. Okay, that's one out of the way. Full of oil, which is good. Right, make sure you're all the way down, Andy. Oh, look at that. Bit of a tight fit on the casing, but we're doing all right. Super job. Right, so they're both the same length. Now I've got these two to do. Yep, got that one. That's 3 out of 4. And that's shorter. So these front ones are a bit shorter than the rears. Last one. Oh. That was the tightest of all of them. That's the one that was holding it on. And that one's even shorter again. So shortest, slightly longer, and the two rears are the longest ones. Both the same. Okay, is it going to come off, or is it going to be a fight? Come on, little Myford, don't let me down. What am I missing? Am I missing anything? I don't know. Let's give it a little lever. Oh, there we go, look. Special levering points to help it out. Obviously a very precise fit and location. Nearly. Oh, there we go, look. Fantastic. Good job, Myford. Ooh. I can get all this lovely and clean on both mating surfaces and make sure it's absolutely bang on when it goes back together. What's next? There's not much left. Right, end stock off. Should be easy enough. There we go. These. Okay, let's give the lathe bed a bit of a clean, and then I want to see if the bed, it feels flat. They tend to wear a lot more near the chuck end, because that's where you spend most of your time with machining. So once it's clean, as I move it down the bed, if it feels okay around the chuck area and then starts to tighten up further down the bed, then we know there's some wear at the chuck end and it's been adjusted up to work in that area. And of course the bed is actually worn down there. Poor little lathe. Jeez. It's a bit rusty down this end as well. Yuck. More rags. Sorry, Jared. It is starting to tighten up quite a bit, actually. Yeah, can't even go that far back. That's not a good sign at all. Right, one more go. There's a lot of backlash on the gears as well, actually. And the bush, I'll show you actually in a minute, but the bush on the carrier is quite badly worn. Yeah, so it's tightening up again here, and it goes free about there. It's all good, all good, all good, and it's just starting to tighten up again there. So there is quite a bit of wear in the bed around this area, which is to be expected on a 1954 lathe, but it might mean that I need to get this skimmed and then readjust the carrier to the new thickness. I'll have to do some more research as to how much I can actually take off this to try and get it flat again. Bugger. Okay, I'll show you the wear on the carrier. The carrier stripped down is going to be a completely separate video, as is the headstock. Sorry, tailstock. Terminology. The thing at the end that holds the drill bits. Right. Okay, move the camera, Andy. Yes, I think it needs a new bush, don't you? Bugger. Well, there's still one more bit to do other than the actual carrier itself and the tailstock, is this bit. Now, I've held back from stripping this down because if you look at the casting itself, it's made of what feels like, I don't know, is it steel or aluminium? Let's find out. Yes, as I thought, it's made of aluminium or aluminum, which means it's even less stronger than steel or cast iron. There's two bushes, one here and one here where the grease nipples are. And if I try and press that through, there's a possibility that if it's jammed on this one, it might cause the actual frame, the casting, to fracture. And I imagine one of these is pretty expensive. So I'm going to have to take my time stripping this down. It'll probably be a separate video, but a bit more research, and I'll have a quick chat with James at Myford. I also need to catch him first thing tomorrow morning because I need to order that extra gear for that counter, what was it? Epicyclic lower shaft thing in the headstock. So we need one of those. But at the moment, this is, I won't say it's a problem at the moment, but I need to take my time stripping this down as I don't want to cause any harm to that casting itself. And who knows, we might require some new bushes, but it doesn't feel too bad. Maybe just a good clean up. And I really don't want to take this pulley off the end because I've been told that is an issue and you can damage them really easily. And it actually looks to be in good nick. There was what I thought was a break, but it's not. It's just a chipped paint. That's all that is, so don't worry about that. So we managed to get a lot more done in this particular video than I thought was going to happen. We've basically stripped the whole lathe down apart from a couple of major components, which will get done in future videos. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe, ring the bell, and that way you won't miss out on any future videos. There's also an archive of about 550 videos plus already on the channel, so if I don't upload maybe 1 week or 2 weeks while I'm out away on the road, then, well, you know, dig deep into the archives and I'm sure you'll find lots of other videos that you find helpful and entertaining. You'll also find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals. You'll also find my email address down the bottom, and it's me that answers those emails. So, you know, flick me an email through and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Can't guarantee it, pretty busy chap. Okay, crew, if you want to support the channel, you can do that through Patreon, become a patron, or you can send some cash through via PayPal. Again, all the information is down in the description for that. The email address is andymechanic@live.co.uk. Again, down in the description. Okay, crew, it's time for lunch and to wash my hands again. Thanks, Dave. See you around, crew. Cheers. Over and out. get the flip. Up again.
Oh,
Really.